So let's start off at the top. Let's start off the top and let's start with the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, last night was pretty ugly. Let's just be honest. Last night was very, very ugly. They dropped to 6-3 on the season after getting beat by the New York Football Jets on Thursday Night Football. However, despite losing, they're still in first place in the AFC South. They have a one-game lead in the loss column, plus the tiebreaker over the Indianapolis Colts. So that's like a game and a half. Now, we got to ask the question, are the Houston Texans, for the rest of the NFL season, are they contenders or are they pretenders? Guys, earlier this season, back in June or July, when we were going down each NFL schedule and we're breaking it down, we're doing this, we're doing that, we had a day. I believe it was a Friday. It was a beautiful Friday sometime in July. It was about 97 degrees outside. It was a slight breeze from east into west, going about 10 to 15 miles an hour. We had a couple, I'm kidding. But on that show, we had what teams could go from first to last place. A team that won the division last season that could go into last place. And one of those teams that I had on there were the Houston Texans. Not because of what they did in the offseason, not because of their team or this. It was because they had a tough slate of games. They played a really, really tough schedule, right? They overachieved last season, and I think sometimes that stunts growth, i.e. the New York Giants. But when you look at the Texans right now, they are injured. Stephon Diggs is out for the season with the ACL injury. Nico Collins is still on the IR. CJ Stroud got hit/sacked a lot last night. I believe it was like 8 sacks. Something crazy. When you look at last night, Joe Mixon was balling out in the first half. He had 17 carries for right around 80 yards. He finished the game with only 24 carries and 106 yards. Totally abandoned a run. Now, like I said, the Texans do have a 2-game lead over the Indianapolis Colts. 1 game in the loss column and the head-to-head tiebreaker. But looking forward, the Texans do play a team in the Detroit Lions. They do have the Battle of Texas versus the Dallas Cowboys. And then they play division foes, Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars in the next 4 weeks. So, when we talk about the Texans, guys, are they contenders or are they pretenders? And we look at the AFC South. I was expecting the AFC South to be a little bit better. I was expecting the Titans to make a run. I was making the Jaguars not to be terrible, but I think they are pretenders. I think the Houston Texans are pretenders, as I do think they will make the playoffs by default because the Colts are going to piss it away. The Titans suck. The Jaguars suck. They will be a one and done. They will be a one and done in the playoffs. The second half of the New York Jets game showed us who they are without Stephon Diggs. The second half of the Jets game showed us that their passing attack without Stephon Diggs is terrible at best. Yes, CJ Stroud was getting hurt. Yes, Nico Collins was hurt. Their number 1 receiver of the game last night, Robert Woods. Mr. I've been on 17 teams and 15 NFL seasons, Robert Woods. That's their number 1 game. And then they shied away from the rushing game in the second half. Why? I don't know, but it was dumb. They leaned on it in the first half, and they shied away from the second half. Now, I don't think they're built to really run the ball that way, but Joe Mixon has had a decent season. You have to give him the ball. No Nico Collins, no Stephon Diggs. You have to give Joe Mixon the ball. The sophomore slump in Houston is the real deal. CJ Stroud is not playing great football right now. DeMarco Ryans is not coaching football great right now. The Texans have hit that wall, and I don't think they're going to really power through it, right? They are probably going to go up there, and they're going to get dominated by the Detroit Lions next week. And then the Honolulu flu, the blue flu, is going to affect them versus the who they play next? The Titans. And then, they play the Cowboys and then the Titans. So then at this point, you're losing 3 games. You lost to the Jets, you lost to the Lions, and you lost to the Cowboys. And then you have 2 division games in the Titans versus Jaguars. It could get rough for the Texans quick. It could get bad for the Texans quick. I think they are pretenders. I think they are 100% pretenders. They will make the playoffs by default, but they're going to be one and done. They're going to get blown out. They're going to get blown out and beat down again. And they still have to play the Chiefs. They still got to play the Ravens. I still think they play the Steelers too. It's tough for them moving forward. So, guys, are they contenders or pretenders? Kaylee says pretenders. They started undefeated and lost 2 of 3 to bad teams. The Vikings was the only good loss that they had. The Texans are starting to look like the Indianapolis Colts, right? They should have walked all over the Jets last night. They should have. They played down to the competition. They play up to the competition. They play down to the competition. You can't do that. You cannot do that if you want to be a contender. And James Frank says they are contenders still. They are still contenders. If the injury bug, however, keeps hitting them, then I'll change my mind. CJ Stroud looked lost last night. I believe was one of the first games I've seen that Stroud did not have his swag and confidence in him. And James to second that, he did not have Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, right? And Stephon Diggs is out for the rest of the season. Nico Collins is supposed to be coming back at some point, but will he be rusty? Will he even be in shape? Will he even be a factor? And if both of those things are not working, it could be a long 8 weeks. It could be a long rest of the season. And Laura says, I second that, Kaylee, meaning the only good loss was to the Vikings. And if you guys want to really take credibility of what Laura is saying, she says, I hope the Vikings lose the rest of the season. Would losing to the Vikings even be a good loss then? Because Laura, I love you, but you say your Vikings are awful right now. They're bad. They're not playing good football. So would that even be a good loss at at this point? I don't know. I'm just not trying to dog you, but I'm just saying, can't have it both ways. Have it both ways. James Lynn says, oil me the F up, baby. Okay. Every time here on YouTube, you guys like to talk about baby oil and Diddy party, so whatever. Keep it up. You do you, guys. James says, valid point. It might be scary hour for the Texans. I withdraw them from being contenders.